Jerry and Charlie riding through the airwaves, bringing you the heat. Come on, New York Mets fans, now get up out your seats. They're bringing you all things Mets. They're bringing you all things Mets. They're bringing you all things Mets. Now you're listening to Shea Station.
Today is Thursday, August 28th. And the New York Mets might be back, folks. A sweep at home once again against the Philadelphia Phillies. 10-0 in their last 10 against their division rival on their home turf. Not to mention a road series win in Atlanta as well. Has the tide finally turned on our 2025 New York Mets? There might be one reason for that. His name, Nolan McLean, with another star. We're going to get into so much good Mets baseball and just a little bit of bad Mets baseball as well from this awesome sweep at home. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jack, a.k.a. Jolly, on the Shea Station podcast. Joining me is Jerry Blevins, who I'm sure has a lot to say about the blue and orange. Jerry, how you doing?
I'm lovely, man. This is my favorite time of year. It's getting a little chilly. I get to wear a jacket. You got a
I got the
sweatshirt
sweater on.
Like,
Queens. Let's go, baby.
it's lovely. The Mets are playing well. There's hope again. It's a beautiful thing, my friend. School's back, so I drop the boys off, get a little me time.
Hell yeah.
Hang out. I love those little rascals, but it's also nice to send them off to school every once in a while.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, I'm gonna miss their cameos in our episode, but I'll
Yeah,
make do.
they're a little occupied now, but it's good, man. This is my favorite time of year. You got September right around the corner with meaningful baseball. There's going to be a chase of sorts. We're right there, man. This is the fun time. The dog days are almost behind us.
I think they might be fully behind us at this point. I mean, you listen to the tenor of the last episode we did, and fingers crossed, knocking on wood. But it was dreary. I mean, for 2 months, the Mets kind of disappeared from the baseball they were playing earlier this season. And the Reds got as close as I think a half game out of that last wild card spot, and it was really starting to feel like the avalanche was coming. And then all of a sudden, they played that series against the Mariners. That was the Nolan McLean debut game on that Saturday. They won that series. It was their first series win of the month. They had this 3-3 road trip. Again, the road series in DC was definitely disappointing, but they finished 500 on that trip, and then they come home for their first real test in a while. They hadn't played the Phillies in a couple months there since their set at Citizens Bank Park, where they lost 2 out of 3, but it's beginning to become pretty public knowledge that Citi Field is a house of horrors for the Phillies, and I thought, okay, well, push comes to shove, one thing has to happen. The Mets are either going to make a statement here, or it's going to be pretty much solidified that they're not competing for the division, and maybe that narrative comes to an end. But instead, that narrative is still resoundingly true. The Phillies have lost 24 of their last 30 games at Citi Field, counting the 2024 postseason. The Mets are 13-4 overall in their last 17 games against the Phillies, and everything that could have gone right in this series, outside of one thing, went right for the New York Mets. They got some good pitching performances. They are suddenly one of the best teams in baseball with hitting and runners in scoring position. They're getting huge contributions from the bottom of their lineup. Luis Trent's had a 5 RBI game in the series. Everything is clicking at once for the New York Mets. They're getting good injury news as well. They're getting another exciting new debut on Friday as well, which we got to talk about. Honestly, there's just so much good. I don't even know where to start. Where do we start, Jerry Blevins?
I think you nailed it. I think some of just the vibes. So the Mets have struggled with runners in scoring position all season.
Yeah.
They've had near zero contribution from the bottom of the lineup all season. And those guys are stepping up, and they're hitting with runners in scoring position. You have what was hoped for when you called Nolan McLean up. It was a great job of being patient with him, allowing him to develop and giving him some runway to where if he did struggle, he could get his feet wet and kind of feel his way through the big leagues a little bit and get used to it. Instead, he's, lit this fire under the rotation, taken some pressure off of David Peterson, put some pressure on guys at the bottom of the rotation to kind of force their way. And I think he opened the door for Jonah Tong a little bit.
Because
of the success. But it's just better baseball. I think they've played better defense as a whole. Timely hitting. It's just been, outside of the bullpen, except for Edwin Diaz, they've been struggling. But it's a formula of baseball to win. It's something that we've been clamoring for all season long, and I think this sums it up for me. Let me find it on your notes. It was, what game did they get all their hits with runners in scoring position?
Game 1, they went 11 for 19 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, 11 for 19. It was Lindor, Soto, and Alonso were 2 for 14 with no RBI in that game.
Yep, and the Mets scored 13 runs.
Yeah, that to me is a complete lineup. And one of my cheat codes for like just checking vibes. You see it, you feel it, you look at the numbers. But I go to Fangraphs and like Roster Resource, and it kind of gives you their overall numbers, which are good, and then it shows the last 7 or 14 days on who's like the hottest. This is my favorite part. So for the lineup, you've got Lindor. He's 29th overall for the last 7 days. Soto's 17th overall. But number 1 is Mark Vientos. Number 1 in all of baseball over his contributions offensively over the last 7 days. And it's a flash from what we saw last year. It's been a longer struggle for him to get that swing back, but he's got it. He's got that little, as you tweeted out, that he's got that skip to him. So he's found himself. He's got the swaggy V back. You mentioned Luis Duran. Cedric Mullins has been playing good, and so is Tyrone Taylor.
Everyone's clicking at the same time. It's been wonderful to see.
Clutch.
I love that you brought up the skip trot thing, because the thought I had was like, okay, earlier in the season, Soto had that like weird slump, and everyone's like, oh, he's not shuffling. There's something wrong. Mark Vientos, I hadn't seen him hop skip a home run like that all year, where he kind of just gets one and starts like trotting a little bit, and I was like, he got that last night in the game, caught up to a high fastball, which he does now. Like, I don't know what changed, whether it was like an increase in bat speed or something changed with his stance, but those fastballs aren't beating him anymore. All of a sudden, I mean, like we did serious Mark Vientos future outlook talk on the show like a month ago, and then all of a sudden everything has changed with him to the point where it feels like he's becoming the engine of the offense again. The stat in game 1, they put up 13 unanswered runs. It's mostly the bottom half of the lineup. You mentioned Alonso and, Soto, Lindor, their numbers in that game. The fact that the Mets can win ball games like that reliably, and we kind of always felt like they could, like it always really felt like this lineup was deep and just wasn't playing to potential. To have that come to fruition now at the end of August, where you have 4 weeks left in the season, you're starting to play these important games, to have everyone start to gel completely after losing their offensive spark plug in Francisco Alvarez is such a shock, but a welcome sight completely. This was top to bottom. The lineup was absolutely frightening to watch if you're an opposing team, because quality at bat after quality at bat, they weren't getting beat on pitches in the zone. Just passing the baton too. Like, they didn't hit a ton of home runs in this series compared to the Truist series where they put up 6 in one game. But it was just good at bats. Like that 9th inning against Duran, they beat him. They straight up beat one of the best closers in baseball with hard, loud contact and good at bats. And it's scary what this team can accomplish when they play to that potential. And I thought it was really cool that the signature offensive moments of the series didn't really come from the core guys. I thought that was kind of a statement by this Mets team to the depth that they really have on this roster.
I agree. The fact that Duran being one of the premier closers in the game throws absolute noise. They didn't try to do too much.
Yeah.
They didn't try to win. So it's a tie ball game, and they didn't try to win it with one swing. They had an approach. They passed the baton. What was it, 4 consecutive singles?
Yep.
I mean, that's ideal. Obviously, you got to catch a break, hard ground balls through, but they're putting pressure on the defense. That's what we saw from the Brewers.
Yep.
They don't give in. They put the ball in play and make you beat them versus beating themselves. That's the key when you're facing elite arms, especially out of the bullpen. You have to put the ball in play, otherwise, it's never going to work out. So, I mean, it's just a winning brand of baseball, that youth that has reinvigorated this lineup. And then you have, steady contributions from your top guys. And again, I'll eat some crow with Starling Marte. He has been
So good.
incredible.
So good.
His approach, his swing, the way he stays like short and compact to put the ball in play. He's figured out what type of hitter and how he could be at his best at this point in his career, and it's awesome to watch.
Dude, it's the lineup fix from Mendoza again that no one's talking about. Like Lindor leadoff was the story last year. Marte 3-hole kind of feels like it's becoming a thing this year. That felt like we couldn't figure out who was going to hit third. And like Nemo had some time there. Alonso had some time there. Soto did as well. And like having Marte be that fixture in the middle that's just giving you good quality at-bats, veteran at-bats, professional at-bats time and time again in the middle of all your core guys is such an added bonus. And like now Mark Vientos can still hit fifth, like Jeff McNeil in the 8-hole is awesome. I know he didn't do much this series, but just having him at the bottom of the lineup ready to reset things is a absolute luxury. Before we get too in the hole of singing the praises of everybody, because we're definitely going to. Let's do a little bit of recap. Let's go from the beginning and cron pod this a little bit. The Mets had that road series in Atlanta. They conquered their streak of 2 straight months without a starter going 6 innings that was not named David Peterson, and they did it on back-to-back nights. Nolan, McLean, and Clay Holmes had a pair of good starts there. The Mets won that series. They dropped that last game, but again, that was the Braves just won a 1-run game. That's going to happen from time to time. They set a season high for homers and stolen bases in a single game. Just a very good series at Truist overall, especially after losing the home series against the Braves. I thought that washed that taste out of my mouth completely, which was good. And it had them with a decent head of momentum going into this Phillies series. We'll start in game 1 because this was really the only point in the series where the Mets, it felt like, were the lesser team. The first half of this game, Kodai Senga has another just difficult start, like frustrating start, where he doesn't look like he has his best stuff, doesn't have a ton of command on his cutter, his fastball, really reliant on the ghost fork. He still gives you 4 innings because he's able to negotiate trouble once again. And then the top of the 5th comes around, and it's really where the entire game changes. Christopher Sanchez is rolling. Kodai Senga has put the Mets in a 3-0 deficit. 5th inning, and I have to get your thoughts on this because we have not talked about it yet. We didn't text about it either. Alec Bohm, who had an RBI single in this game previously, one of the RBI hits for the Phillies, causes a 15-minute delay in the game because there is a parabolic microphone in center field that apparently, which I didn't know this, but apparently has been there as early as 2017 at Citi Field. There's videos of Alec Bohm hitting extra base hits with that microphone in center field. He causes this 15-minute delay. They remove the microphone. And then after that, the entire game flips. In the next inning, Christopher Sanchez balks. He catches a spike. He spikes a pitch after that. The avalanche of Mets hits just falls through right after that. His start completely caves in on him. He gives up a season-high earned runs in what has been like a Cy Young caliber campaign. How much of that stems from you're in the dugout, you're up 3-0, and then all of a sudden there's a 15-minute long delay? Like, how much does that affect you as a pitcher?
It does affect you because you're cruising. Your offense is cruising too. You've got a lead. If it's really an issue, if there's they change lighting in the Citi Field a lot. They put in different aspects of it, so
Sure.
it might be a new glare. And the umpire would stand in those, like he's looking at it the whole time too. So if there is an issue, I get it, but if somebody's got to bring it up, but it does suck, especially when the wheels fall off or begin to.
Yeah.
You start to be like, all right, was it that? Is it affecting me? And then it kind of snowballs from there. And for Christopher Sanchez to fall apart like he did, that's not him. He's a control guy. He's got that nasty changeup. He's a poised, a poised entity on that mound. Sometimes it does affect you, and he probably will never say it. But I guarantee you, Alec Bowman's like, shit, I probably shouldn't have done that.
I've never seen something like that before. I've never seen an in-game delay for something like that.
Yeah, I was pitching in Oakland, and I was cruising, and the Mariners manager at the time, who was a former coach for the A's, Don Wakamatsu, he like mid at bat, he comes up, and I had like this silver like patch on my glove, and it was a little bit shiny, and
So
he
you were
made
cheating.
me
Okay.
yeah, he made me change my glove, but I had been pitching with this thing for like 2 months,
Yeah.
and it pissed me off. And I did really well after that. And it was a lot of it was like light a fire under that. And, that's one of those things where if you're on the other side of that, this guy's causing a delay for something that no other right-handed hitter on the Mets has ever said anything. Nothing's changed since then or before then. That might be a spark plug. You're just like, dude, what are you doing? You're a nuisance. Everybody, million, like the hundreds of thousands of people that are watching the game live on TV in the stadium, like, who do you think you are? Kind of moment. We're gonna show you that was a problem, but it can be an issue. It worked out in the Mets' favor this time.
The Phillies did not get a hit after that delay. The Mets scored 10 unanswered runs to complete 13 unanswered runs on the night for them after that delay. The bullpen was immaculate in this game, kind of a forgotten performance by them. They went 5 innings, 1 walk, no hits, no runs, 2 strikeouts. That was Jose Castillo getting it done. Three outs on 3 pitches. Welcome back to the show. Mets went 11 for 19 with runners in scoring position. Luis Torrens. Round of applause. I mean, that's
I agree.
Taking his best at bats in 2 months as soon as the news of the Francisco Alvarez injury hits was, I think, such a lift for this Mets team. I know that everyone was kind of doing it this series, but him and then Tyrone Taylor, after basically getting benched and banished for 2 weeks, coming back with a fire under his ass, 8 for 16, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, 2 walks since getting playing time again. Those 2 guys at the bottom of the lineup really being the story of the offense in this game was very, very cool, and kind of what I preferred as a fan. I wanted to see those guys contribute and get in on the action. So the Mets trounced the Phillies in game 1, 13-3. I honestly don't have too much more from this game. It was very one-sided and it happened very quickly.
Yeah, I don't either. I think it was just a big W, especially game 1 against a team that you're chasing down for the division. I thought it was a big statement, especially with the pitching matchup going in. Senga's been struggling, and Christopher Sanchez is their ace since Zach Wheeler's out.
Yeah.
And he's been Cy Young caliber. He's been excellent all season long. Kind of one of the best pitchers nobody talks about. And to do that to him, that's a great start to a series that's super important for your franchise right now.
Yeah, the Mets get that game 1 win. They send Sean Manaea to the bump for their next game. JM Mets was at this game.
Nice.
I mean, we packed the 500s up there.
How deep were you guys? How many people?
I think we had a dozen people for this one, which is actually a little bit
JM
later.
Mets is a strong group.
Oh, every time we get at least 10, always.
Yeah.
We had a nice group. We were out in the 500s. I thought it was funny because Dalton Feely, good friend and a coworker, obviously, filmed my reaction to how this game ended. Won't spoil it. And then a bunch of comments were like, "We gotta get you guys better seats." There's no bad seat in Citi Field. There's nowhere you can sit where you say this is a bad seat. In the 500s, it's for the real animals, all right?
I think Citi Field might be the Christopher Sanchez of ballparks.
I agree.
Like the best ballpark that nobody talks about.
But people are talking about it now. It's kind of that similar narrative.
So anytime I talk to people, they ask me about ballparks. I literally say, like, if you're in New York, take your, it's not just because I'm a former Met and I still cover. It's a great place to go catch a game, whether you're with friends, with your adults, on a date, with your family. It's awesome ballpark. Not a bad seat in the house. You said it.
And the crowd was live for this one. Sean Manaea had kind of the start he's been having for like 6 weeks now. And it's frustrating to see because he was he was Sean Manaea for 4 innings, and he had 7 strikeouts through 4, and then there's just kind of that wall he's been hitting in the 5th inning. I don't really know what the remedy is for that situation. It still just kind of feels like this guy is going through spring training and the early part of his season in August, and you just have to hope that the Mets can continue to get a little bit more from him every time out, and hopefully come mid-end September, maybe even early October, you start to get the version of Sean Manaea you had last year. Because you can see it. You can see that the stuff is still there. The arm slot's still nasty. People don't really have a great read on it still when he's right. It's just something about control and fatigue, and his fastball velocity usually dips from like 94 to 92 as soon as he gets to like that 5th inning. So hopefully the Mets can continue to pick him up, because they did in this game. But was there anything you saw from Sean in the start?
Promise. I saw promise.
Okay, I like that.
You know, as what I saw at the beginning of the season with Kodai Senga, and even though he was dealing, I was like, man, I just don't like what I see.
Right.
It's kind of the you know, the other side of the coin for what I see from Manaea. I see dominance. I see elite stuff. It's just, when is it going to click for his body long term? Can he work his way back? Because he hasn't had any buildup. You can't go and throw a 110 pitch bullpen during the season, so it's been difficult, but I like what I see from him. I think it's right around the corner. I really do think it's just like one thing will click for him, and that whatever the key is, like pitching in his legs, like that's for me. When I got tired, I had to focus on making sure I stayed upright over my bottom half. You know, I didn't get out front, because sometimes when you're tired, you start to like try to rush it because you feel your body being tired, and you have to do the opposite.
Yeah.
So it's finding that, and I think he's right there. I anticipate him to get back to his dominant ways, giving you 6 innings of very, very competitive baseball. I like what I see from him.
Yeah, and the Mets are entering a situation now where they're going to have kind of a lot of options in their rotation, which we'll get into a little bit. We got a new guy debuting Friday. Tyler McGill has ramped up fully in AAA. Like there's going to be options. Maybe the Mets do some piggybacking, or maybe Sean Manaea finds it, because in those first 4 innings, that's what you expected to see when he was brought back on that contract. The problem was that the opposing pitcher, Jesus Luzardo, has always owned the Mets. It's always been an incredibly difficult time for this lineup against this lefty. Through 4 innings, it looked no different. But one thing I will say, and there was a couple good articles published, and I wish I had the quote and the name from what I saw, but there is increasing frustration that you can begin to see on these Phillies players when they're playing the Mets at Citi Field. You saw it in the 15-minute delay the night before, and then Christopher Sanchez kicking over the water tank after he got pulled from the game. You saw it in this game a little bit with Jesus Luzardo, even though he was pitching well through 4. He's barking at the umpire because Soto got a timeout called after he was mid-motion, which honestly, I'm kind of with Luzardo on that. I don't think time should have been granted there, but it was.
They do that now.
Yeah,
that
that's
is
a
like
thing.
Across the board. They'll give guys timeouts anytime because they only get one.
Right.
They just do it now.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I think it's that's too late. But no offense to Luzardo, Soto's going to get that call every time.
Yeah, and that's also it's a little bit of gamesmanship too. Like I think Soto fully knows that he can wait that long and still get granted.
I can't. It is visible.
Right?
The Citi Field struggles.
Yeah.
It really is. It's something. It's palpable. I want to give it. I want to give it up for the Mets fans in this particular instance.
We had fun on Tuesday. That's all I'll say. I won't say what we said, but
it's a tough environment to play for an opposing team.
Yeah.
It truly is, and it's in jest. They don't. It's not harassing in a bad way for the most part. There's no, embarrassment if you're in the stadium, but like pulling out, like they showed up with parabolic microphones.
Like the worst thing you can do as an opponent of the Mets is give their fans a rallying cry. That's
Something
the worst thing you
stupid.
can do.
Oh, it was so like all the signs and like the little mini, like it's something the Mets fans have showed you that what you do is you've grasped to something minor like grimace.
Yep.
and you run with it, and that's gonna follow Alec Boehm around for a while.
For at least a year. Like,
Yeah,
that's
when
every
he
time we
shows
see
up.
him, it's going to come up. And, like,
Yep.
you got to just know that. And, like, I think it's a really empowering feeling as a fan to know that you have a place in the opponent's head. And it certainly feels that way. Because, take the Mets in Truist. I mean, up until pretty much the end of last year, and now this year with the Braves having a disappointing year, it was just the Mets couldn't buy a win there. And
Correct.
every time the lights went down when a reliever came in for the Mets, it felt like the walls were closing in on the team. Every time Matt Olson took a daddy hack against David Peterson, it felt like it was going out. And it feels like we're emitting a similar feeling onto our division rival now. And it's great because the Braves aren't in the picture. So it's not like the Mets have that like creeping over their back. They can just kind of know that the team is in front of them. The team that is in front of them is a team they always seem to play their best baseball against.
That's the perfect comparison because it's the same. Like, that's how the Phillies feel coming to Citi Field, is how the Mets felt for the last few years going to Truist Park. Their fans are intense, just like the Mets fans are. That is definitely a home ballpark. And the teams are equal in that sense, to where you're like, all right, when the reliever comes in, that's the perfect comparison. So
And the
it's like you
Braves-
should do this for a living.
Yeah, maybe. But, don't get ahead of yourself. I'm just a fan. But the Braves threw off the equilibrium because the Braves would go to the bank and the Phillies would own them. Like, they had the playoff history there. So the fact that they're out of the picture, I just think is such a huge advantage in division for the Mets. But it's not really something you can quantify. You got to be in the ballpark and you got to feel it. And you can see it in the body language of these players. And speaking of which, the Mets are down 2-0 in this game too. Fifth inning comes around. And then all of a sudden, you get a 2022 Mets-esque rally where it's just every single guy gets on base. Trentz gets hit by a pitch to start the inning. Lindor gets a knock. Soto gets a knock. Marte draws a walk in the middle of it. Professional at-bat. 3-hole. That continues the rally. It gives Pete Alonso bases loaded, nobody out. And Pete Alonso, I've watched him take tons of terrible at-bats against Jesus Luzardo. This was not one of them. Caught up to the high inside fastball, rocked it for a double. Vientos followed with a knock of his own, and then suddenly, in the blink of an eye, Jesus Luzardo's out. Orion Kirkering's in. Luzardo gets ejected on his way out, barking at the ump, and like that was just like the cherry on top of the situation. And Orion Kirkering, give him credit, he's having a nice year, but the Mets hit him as well. The Alonso double came against him, not Luzardo. That was my mistake. But in the blink of an eye, the Mets put up 5 runs, retake the lead as soon as they went down in this game, and it's just feeling like they have all the momentum in the world. They get it to the bullpen. Gregory Soto comes in first. Brosabon gets an inning there. Tyler Rogers looks great again, only throws 7 pitches for his inning. And then the 8th inning comes, and Hell's Bells comes through the stadium. And I want it to be said, because I get accused of Monday morning quarterbacking sometimes. Helsley pitched in the 13-3 game in the 8th inning. He came into this game in the 8th inning in a much tighter contest. I fully was supportive of Carlos Mendoza giving Helsley an opportunity, again, at home with a lead, to try and be the setup guy, to try and be the 8th inning guy, which is the role that has been carved out for him on this team. I thought it was a decent spot for him because we weren't at the top of the order. It was Alec Boehm first and then 6, 7, 8. And Helsley gives up the 2-run homer to Harrison Bader. And the air feels like it gets pulled out of the stadium just a little bit. And it's the one bad thing about this series is that you got one step forward and then 3 steps back with Ryan Helsley once again. And it's starting to feel scary of like, we might not be able to use this guy at all in the postseason.
It is scary. The postseason is so far away.
It's true.
I expect him to get right, but it's scary with Reed Garrett going out and dealing with an elbow. Hopefully that's a short issue that he can get rid of, because you're going to need him.
Yes.
But yeah, Helsley, it's tough. He's struggling. He felt like a Philly when he came in. You know what I mean? He felt
Yeah.
like he's struggling in the ballpark, and the fans let him know, deservedly so. But they're going to need this guy. I mean, they need him. Edwin Diaz,
Sensational.
I mean,
You can't put it into
absolute
words.
dynamite.
Yeah.
Like the at bat to Schwarber. Schwarber scares me. Schwarber is such a dangerous hitter.
He went 0 for
He
11
hits-
in the series, though.
I know,
They handled
but he especially against relievers, he locks in. And a guy that has two pitches he can kind of eliminate, but he beat him with cheese up. It was nasty. That was as good as I've ever seen Edwin Diaz. I mean, five hitters, five punch outs coming in the eighth. He swung the momentum completely back the other way. And it wasn't scary. Like sometimes he'll hit a guy, walk a guy, throw a wild pitch. He gave up the stolen bases, which aren't ideal in a tie ball game.
Sure.
But he looked absolute nails, just as dominant as he's ever been. Just a beautiful showing for him. So
Yeah.
that was needed. He picked up his boy Helsley, who they're going to need. They're going to have to figure out how to get him right in lower leverage and kind of ease him up. He can't pitch the eighth inning until he's done it in the seventh inning or the sixth inning in a positive.
And he's still throwing 102 at the top of the zone. Like I don't get it. Like I know that
It's his slider.
but like he threw a good one to Castellanos. I don't know if you remember the pitch I'm talking about.
I do.
Yeah, and then he just completely spiked it the pitch after, and it's just like hot and cold. I don't understand mechanically what the issue is.
Well, that's the question. It's
Like, do you think
they'll figure it out whether he's
tipping at all?
overthrowing.
Do you think that's like in the cards?
What's that?
Him tipping his pitches at all?
I don't think it's that. I honestly think he has no faith in his slider. He does not. And that is by far his best pitch.
Yeah.
By far his best pitch. He throws noise. But what makes his fastball passable is that breaking ball. The fact that he throws that big slider, he can throw it for a strike. It comes out of a weird arm angle, and it's 89 miles an hour. That play, that fastball off of that, his fastball is he throws it on such a line. It is as flat as you can make it. It's elite because of how hard it is, but it's very hittable if you know it's coming and if you know you don't have to swing at his breaking balls. It makes him one-dimensional, and you can see in his confidence, not only in his breaking ball, but you see it in his fastball. So he has to find that slider. It's an absolute necessity. You can tell by how much he's falling behind guys.
Yeah.
He just isn't himself mechanically on his slider and confidently on the mound. So it can happen fast. As you know, it's very fickle in the bullpen. What have you done for me lately? He can turn it around just like that. We've seen it for our entire lives, how easy it is for a reliever to fall out of favor and to jump right back in and be locked in. It's the nature of the beast of being in the bullpen. I anticipate Mania getting better because of the peripherals that I see. I expect Helsley by the mid-September to be the eighth inning guy for Edwin Diaz.
I hope you're right. And I mean, this was an outing where it could have been very different. He strikes out Alec Boehm. He goes 3-2 on each of the next three hitters, and they go walk, two-run homer, walk. I will say, sneaky, very good move by Mendoza to give Helsley one more batter after Bader, because that batter was Bryson Stott. Bryson Stott owns Edwin Diaz. I don't know why. If you go back to Game 2 of the NLDS last year, Stott was the one that got that big hit. His numbers against Diaz, he's 3 for 6 with 2 homers and 5 RBIs. That's not including the playoffs.
I'll give you the quick answer. It's his swing path and the way Edwin
that
Diaz
low
pitches.
kind of just
It's the
golfing out
way
the
his
slider.
bat comes through the zone,
Yeah.
and it's the way Edwin Diaz is. What makes him so good against everyone else? A guy like Bryson Stott being left-handed and swinging like that. It's a bad matchup. Obviously, if it comes down to it, you're gonna still expect Edwin Diaz to overcome because he's that nasty.
Of course.
But it's a recipe for success for Bryson Stott to face Edwin Diaz when it comes to swing path and the way the ball's coming through the zone for Edwin Diaz. It's a tough matchup.
And then Diaz is deployed for the top of the order. Kyle Schwarber now 0 for 10, 8 strikeouts against Edwin Diaz, only in the regular season. There's some playoff at-bats in there, too.
There's the other way.
Yeah.
So his swing path is not great for the style of that, like most.
So Diaz comes in, stops the fire. I saw a lot of people saying maybe Diaz for 6 outs, maybe Tyler Rogers should have got more opportunities. You can play that game all day long, but that becomes less of a story if Helsley is able to just get even one more out there and doesn't give up the big blow. Instead, the game's tied, but the vibe in the stadium was still high. Like it still felt like it was the Mets game to lose, partially because Edwin Diaz has just been so good and somehow like still underappreciated as he's fully asserted himself. Best closer in baseball, sans maybe Aroldis Chapman, who's having a crazy year, but Diaz has been just the guy all season long for the New York Mets, and as soon as he came into this game against a team he's done so well against in recent memory, you knew that the Mets had some form of control. I will say, when Duran came in, I fully thought this game was going to go to extras. Lindor and Soto batted the inning before, so it was starting with Marte in this inning. And then you just saw the Mets offense conduct their business. Like 2 pitches, Marte gets a knock. Pete Alonso swings first pitch, ground ball through the hole. I know you said before ground balls, you got to get lucky sometimes. That was scalding hot. And then Brett Beatty comes into the game late, has a good at-bat, works it to a full count, and then just gets a nice little dink and dunk into left field, found a spot where no one was. Bases loaded, nobody out. Brandon Nimmo comes up, who's finally beginning to turn a corner a little bit after his recent slump, and he gets the game-winning RBI knock. The Mets put up 4 straight hits against Duran. It's the first time he had ever allowed 4 straight hits in his entire career, and just the 3rd time he's ever allowed 4 hits overall in an outing. And the Mets made it look like it was nothing. Crazy.
I fully expected the same thing. I was like, this is going into extras. Duran is nasty. But let me give you the exit velocities on those first 3. Not the first 3. Beatty's was 65.8. That's sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good.
Yes.
Starling Marte, 109.2.
Not bad.
That ball was scalded. The one that got by in the 6th hole for Pete Alonso, 109.6. Like, that is not Trey Turner not being able to get to the ball.
Yeah.
That ball is scalded. And then Nimmo's single, probably going to be a double in the gap. It was 108.3. Like, that, it's just beautiful. Pete, you can't ask for it, even if it was right at guys. That's the approach that you have to have on a guy that throws that splinker, that ball that goes down.
Yep.
Just find the barrel to the ball. Stay short through it. Just try to pass the baton, because that's probably the only way that you're going to get to that guy. And it was just like a breath of fresh air to see a continued approach. This is what we loved from last year's team, being able to speak to each other, to have an idea, to pass the baton, the magic of the depth of the lineup. It was awesome. That's how you beat a guy. Just put the ball in play, and they barreled it up, and good things happened.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I thought it was important for this Mets offense because there is that stat going around. They're, I think, the only team in baseball this year without a comeback win after 9 innings. They have never entered the 9th inning trailing and won a game this year. They weren't trailing in this 9th inning, but it definitely felt like disadvantaged Mets, because in my mind, I was saying, okay, let's just make Duran throw enough pitches so that the Phillies can't use him for the 10th, because we knew Diaz wasn't coming out for the 10th if it got there. And then the Mets' options after that, after they burn Rogers and Diaz, and, Helsley in that scenario, I guess, too, are much more limited. It felt like advantage Phillies, and like road teams always do better in the new extra inning format. It was important for the Mets, I think, to win the game right there, and for Marte to get it started and Alonso to not be, too indecisive. We've seen a lot of indecision from Pete Alonso this month, and just not the same guy we saw in April and even July this year. For those 2 guys to get it going, and then for it to just come together the way that it did against, the Phillies traded 2 top 100 prospects for Duran, and they have years of control with him, but still, like, that's a Death Star move. That's a Dave Dombrowski move. That is a, fuck it, I want to win the World Series this year. Give me the best closer that's available.
It's the right move.
And it was the right move for them.
The Mets beat him, and it happens. It's baseball. And it's, Pete Alonso, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to happen.
Yep.
Just a perfect storm. It was if they don't win it in the bottom of the 9th, you're right. That even entering the bottom of the 9th, I would say it was like 85-15, the percentage chance that the Phillies were going to win just because of the format, the pitchers left,
Yep.
and
I
the
mean,
momentum
we
swing.
saw this exact game against the Guardians. That first game, the Mets had that rally. It was 5-5 in the ninth. They didn't wave the runner. They didn't get the big hit, and then they lost in extra innings. And I was like, that can't happen again. Like, if that happens in the game 2 of the series, there's a chance Phillies sneak out with the series win.
I will say that when Marte got to second base, I thought they were going to pinch run for him.
I also thought they were going to pinch run for him.
I thought they should have learned their lesson. Bring in Mauricio because he can move a little better, at least better than Marte, and he's the DH, so you don't have to worry about him playing the field. So it didn't turn out to bite them in the ass like it did against the Brewers. But I was like, come on, let's do this.
Sometimes baseball gods are just on your side. They're just sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're firmly against you, and sometimes they're on your side. Jerry, we've been at this for almost 40 minutes, and we have not talked about Nolan McLean. And it's finally
I think it's the perfect
it's
way.
time to talk about Nolan McLean.
Yes, we got to end it with Nolan McLean. He needs his breathing room, the much anticipated. Holy shit! Right?
Holy shit, dude!
Holy shit! Like I'm blown away. Again, I don't. It's really hard for me to not speak in hyperbole.
Of course,
about
we're
how
fans,
amazing it
Jerry.
is.
We're fans.
I am a pitcher, and I did it in the big leagues. I know I've seen guys come up like this and then disappear.
Yep.
That stuff plays, dude. That stuff plays. It's beautiful. He'll make some adjustments. He'll have some rough outings. Everybody does. But his demeanor, his confidence.
That's the difference. That's what it is.
It really is. It's his way of going about his business. I'm so thoroughly impressed with the way he carries himself, with the way he's just his presence on the mound. I love everything about it. You know, there's a lot of hype around it, and I'll tip my cap to Joe DeMayo of SNY. He's funny. He DM'd me yesterday because on January 29th he says, I think it was in our podcast or it might have been on SNY. I said I've never heard of Jonah Tong. It's just, I don't do minor leagues.
Sure.
And he said on January 29th he was like, you'll learn the name soon enough. And then he DM'd me yesterday. He said, this aged well. Well, Jonah, and I said that's the truth, man. I'm excited for Jonah Tong on Friday.
Can't wait.
But Nolan McLean was above him and jumped Brandon Sproat. Like he was the guy, consensus top pitching prospect above some big noise. I see why. Like if I were scouting and I watched him on the mound in AA, AAA, I'm like, this guy has what it takes intangibly to be a sustained big leaguer. It's what the stuff is easy to see, the delivery, all of that, but the way he carries himself on the mound. I don't know his work ethic. I don't know how his off-field antics are. I'm going to assume that he doesn't get up to any shenanigans. New York City can get some people. I'm going to assume that he is a hard worker because the Mets, the people that I trust, vouch for him. But you can't teach a young guy how to carry himself on the mound, how to believe in himself. We'll see how it goes when he has a hiccup here or there. But my God, it is so fun to watch. He truly sparked the Mets. He sparked them. It felt like everybody took a collective deep breath when they saw him pitch because they're like, all right, finally we have a guy that can take some pressure off.
Yes.
That we're going every fifth day, we have another reliable arm. It's not always going to be 7-8 shut, but it could be every fifth day. And it's, you feel like you have a better than not chance to win a ball game every time he takes the mound. And the offense knows it, the defense knows it. It's You don't get this very often. This guy doesn't come along. He's every bit worth the hype, and I might say that he was underhyped. I think he might have been underappreciated as a prospect. And I don't say that lightly because he was talked about a lot, and the
Yeah.
Mets were in desperate need for a guy to come up, and I think that fueled a lot of the fandom of like, let's go, let's bring him in. But this guy's the real deal. Uh, it's beautiful. We were really excited for Christian Scott
Yeah.
a year ago.
Who also looked great in his debut.
He did,
Yeah.
but it was different. He
It was
didn't
more
have
tempered,
the
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't have like the overpowering stuff, the movement. Christian Scott, I think, can be a very, very good starting pitcher, a number two, number three. He'll never be a number one. I don't think it's possible. It might be a Christopher Sanchez style where he figures it out. I have Christian Scott could be a great big leaguer, and I believe he will. But Nolan McLean could be a Cy Young winner.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy hype, but it's in the realm of possibilities, and you can't really say that about anybody. Like that truly is best case scenario. But for me, my best case scenario when I got to the big leagues was that I could be a really good setup guy because my stuff just wasn't that good. His is,
Yeah.
and the way he carries himself doesn't come along all that often. My goodness, it seems like they've got a guy.
The poise of a veteran in a 23-year-old rookie, like more so than like, and I'll get into pitch specific stuff and all the record setting stats he has, but just do the 3-start path. So he comes up on that Saturday against the Mariners. The Mets haven't won a series in a month, and they're saying, hey, this team ramped up their offense at the trade deadline. Mostly left-handed lineup. We're just going to kind of feed you to them and hope for the best. And he gives you 5 1/3 shutout. Then the Mets go to their personal house of horrors. McLean gets the game 1 ball. It doesn't matter what the Braves record is. They're going to play their best ball against the Mets. He goes up there, he throws 7 innings, and he breaks a spell of 2 months without a 6-inning start by a non-David Peterson pitcher. Okay. Game 3 of your career. Now you're going to face the NL East leading team, our real division rival this year, the only team that's like in front of us, kind of, barring us from reaching our top potential as a team. And you're going to go in there looking for the sweep. And he gives you 8 shutout innings. He throws 6 different pitches and he gets multiple whiffs on all of them. He doesn't walk a batter for the second straight start. I know it's the Phillies and I know they chase, but still, that's back to back against division rivals where he just looks so there's something to watching a starting pitcher who is nasty, going about his business, and not really showing a lot of emotion when he's dominating his opponent. That just brings about this fear of like intimidation and like he is just superior amongst his contemporaries. And like McLean, he has that aura about him right now. I mean, the fact that he's just going at people, completely unafraid to throw against MVP level hitter. I mean, Kyle Schwarber is probably going to finish runner-up in MVP this year, and Nolan McLean was not afraid to go at him at all in his 3rd major league start. And it just has me so excited because, like you said, this guy is less hyped than the guy that's going to pitch Friday. Like, this is supposed to be the lesser of the two that are going to make their debut.
The last 3 months, he's been the number one.
Sure, but
still,
like,
this is why I'm super excited about what I saw. He's got pitches that he can throw that move different than most people. His curveball moves extra.
Yeah.
The movement is above major league average. It moves a ton. And he throws that 20% of the time. His sweeper, which is his number 1 pitch, he throws and it moves more than average. And it's from that funky, like low 3/4 arm angle. His sinker, which is better than what I thought it was going to be, has way more sink than most people's. And it's got like this crazy, not sink, but It's got a little bit more, but the horizontal movement that he gets on that two-seamer, it's hard to hit because it's moving so much. You know, we talked about Helsley at 103, how easy that is to see. When your balls are like when you're the pitches that you throw are doing this, like it's really difficult to square up. And when you have something like that, the ability to like manipulate the baseball like that, it's much easier to get out of tough situations when you don't have to throw something that's very hittable in the zone.
Yes. And I it's just the quotes from Phillies hitters after this game of like befuddlement. Like even I think Rob Thompson over there was like, yeah, the kid was nasty. Like there was pure. I think Bryson Stott said that his sinker looked like an airbender, like the Devin Williams pitch, in this Athletic article from Will Salmon. That's real fear, man. Like that's 3 starts into your career, and there are major league hitters saying like, "Yeah, I don't know how I'm supposed to hit that. Like I don't know what I'm supposed to do."
They've never seen him before.
Yeah.
Never. There's not a lot of tape on him. This is there will be studied. Like his next start. People will understand what they're looking for because now there's 3 starts in. You have some video. You have with all the analytics, you've got, you know what you're going to see, but you're still going to get really bad swings because it's that nasty. This isn't a shock and surprise. It is for the Phillies guys because, these are some of the greatest major league hitters in the game today and some vets. But it's very, very promising. I'll put it that way. I tend to downplay prospects as far as anticipation. I think Alvarez, I still think has 40 homer potential.
Yep.
We're starting to see some things catch up, injuries, that kind of thing. I was very, very surprised by what I saw as in a very positive manner with Nolan McLean.
Let's talk about that 8th inning too. So he cruises through 6, I think on like less than 60 pitches. Just like he was on like Maddox trajectory. 7th inning, a little bit deeper counts against the top of the order, but he disposes of them. 3rd time through, he didn't pay no penalty. Comes back out for the 8th inning. Bohm singles, Kepler singles, so there's 2 on, nobody out. Now he's closer to 85, 90 pitches. Mendoza sticks with him. McLean doesn't start, nibbling or anything, pitching outside the zone, still going at hitters, gets 2 short fly balls. Bohm can't tag on either of them. And then the ground out goes right to McLean, fittingly to end the 8th inning against Harrison Bader. To keep his poise in that moment, again, this was a game that the Mets pretty much controlled from start to finish, but still, for him to be pitching this deep into a game this early in his career, in a game as important as this one against a division rival in front of a sold-out crowd, to have 2 guys on in that 8th inning, this very easily could have spiraled out of control and been a final line that was not indicative of how dominant the start was. And instead, he pitched the most competitive baseball, I think, of the entire night because he wasn't able to just blow guys away at this point. I was just so impressed with that last inning. I was perfectly fine with him not getting the 9th. I didn't want him to face the top of the order a 4th time. But for him to finish the 8th the way that he did, I think was the most impressive thing he did on a night where he threw some nasty stuff.
That was the biggest thing for me too, that 8th inning. It showed me a few things. Obviously the bullpen was taxed. But you can still go to a very good bullpen in the 8th, 9th inning there to lock up a win, to lock up a sweep. We've seen Carlos Mendoza take guys out left and right in a situation very similar to that. We saw David Peterson have to earn those stripes.
Yep.
When Carlos Mendoza says, guess what? We're going to give you the 8th inning. He gives up the leadoff single. Get him out of there. Like, could have easily been that. But instead, he gets the first 2 guys on. I was expecting Mendoza to go get him. And then he shows his character, his makeup. I'm going to get out of this. And to go 1, 2, 3 right after that, to still have a chance. I was like, is he going to get the 9th? Right move not to push him back out there.
Sure.
He's still throwing a lot of innings for his young career, but that showed me so much in how Mendoza views him and how his teammates view him, how he views himself, and what his ceiling is. That it was not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
And he did it with poise and confidence like he's done it for 5 years already.
The first Mets pitcher ever to win all 3 of their first 3 MLB starts. The first Mets pitcher since Jonathan Neese, my guy, reliable lefty, with an 8-inning outing in his first 3 starts since 2008. It's coming up on 20 years at this point. And how about this? The best one of all, the lowest ERA for a Mets pitcher to begin their career through 3 starts. Number 2 on the list, Tom Seaver, 1.19. Number 1, Nolan McLean, 0.89. That's pretty good company. It's not bad.
Pretty good company.
Doesn't suck.
Again, we're 3 starts in. It's a tough comparison with the franchise.
Sure.
When you got to do it for, another 1,000 starts?
I'll sign up for that. That sounds great.
I'll sign up for it too. But again, we're seeing ceilings.
Yep.
We're seeing my ceiling for most prospects start very low. And then you see them, once you get eyeballs on them on the biggest stage in against the best in the world, then you can kind of get a real gauge for where they might possibly be. I mean, if everything works out, the right way, he could be, in that breath of Seaver, of Gooden, of DeGrom, of R.A. Dickey, these big moments in Mets history of the Johan Santana era of dominance. If he's a Met for life, again, we're 3 starts in. I'm not getting crazy here, but if you give everything falls his way, you can see a ceiling that doesn't exist for 99.9% of other big leaguers that make their debut. That's all I'm saying.
Nolan McLean is a different level of special. He's so special that we didn't even mention that the Mets trounced Taijuan Walker and the Phillies bullpen in this one for a clean, easy win. Mark Vientos, 10-game hitting streak, and the hits look like Mark Vientos hits because he's got 6 homers in that span, 15 for 38. His OPS is 1.4 in that span. Francisco Lindor got a big knock in this game. Brett Beatty with multiple hits. I pulled up the August splits here. Top 4 qualified hitters on the Mets, or let's go top 3. Francisco Lindor at the top, 1,000 OPS. Brett Beatty, 1,000 OPS. Mark Vientos, 1,000 OPS. The Mets have 2 third basemen that might both be better than Alec Boehm, which is pretty special. It's not bad. It's not bad. Mets, just a big sweep in this one. They pitched their first shutout since June 26th. They've won 5 of 6 after going 5-16 in the stretch of baseball before that. The Phillies just might be the medicine that this team needs every time they seem to hit some sort of bump in the road. The Mets go 21 for 37 with runners in scoring position in this series. 21 for 37. The Phillies went 3 for 22. Crazy. That is just an insane level of efficiency. I get why Phillies fans might think they're cheating because they just played such good baseball in this series. Just such good baseball.
Yeah, you can't, even if you are cheating, it's hard to do what they did. That's
crazy.
It's like they bottlenecked all their runners in scoring position to wait for this moment. You knew it was you knew guys couldn't stay like that. I still expect Soto to have a breakout with runners in scoring position. He's still been terrible.
Sure.
He's having a really good season, but he's been bad in that situation, which is new. I expect him to turn that on. Whatever it is, it might be now, but this is what the Mets lineup is capable. I don't expect, Tyrone Taylor to stay on fire. I don't expect.
So that's where you're wrong.
Yeah, best
That's
ever.
where you're wrong.
I don't expect these kind of hot streaks. I don't expect Vientos to continue on a, 1,400 OPS.
Sure.
But I do expect him.
But he skip trotting homers, man. He skip trotted.
That's it. I do expect him to show us at least the player that he was last year, if not a step above, as he makes the adjustments. We're gonna have these bumps in the road. This looks like a club capable of winning a World Series again, and they haven't looked like that in a long time. With Nolan, again, we're 3 starts in. Please don't hear what I'm not saying. But with Nolan McLean and David Peterson at the 1-2 punch. That's who it would be. It would be Peterson for game one, McLean for game two right now, I would say.
It's an interesting discussion.
Depending on how it lined up.
I got to see this next month. I mean, if McLean just keeps pitching like this.
Again, McLean's ceiling is higher than David Peterson's ceiling. That's not crazy to say. Peterson has been our best pitcher. I love David Peterson. He's an all-star level pitcher. But if McLean is who he could be, again, it's very rare that a guy reaches their peak. But his peak is above David Peterson. And if he's on fire, we saw it. I saw it. This is a random thing, but I saw it with Sonny Gray when he made his debut with us in Oakland. He pitched his way into starting Game 5 in the playoffs in a season where, I think it was like Bartolo Colon or Brandon McCarthy. Like, these are the guys that have got you there, but the ceilings are different.
Yeah.
So McLean could very well. I mean, if he could be anybody at any given day. David Peterson could be anybody at any given day, and this lineup could be any pitcher on any given day. So it's a team that a month ago didn't look competitive again, now reminding us what their ceiling is, and this is a team that could win the World Series. They still got to make it into the playoffs. I told you that the division isn't out of reach.
Definitely isn't now.
It's not. It's right there. They still have to get in. We're still focused on getting into the playoffs is the minimum. But the division's in play. The second best record is possibly in play. We could figure something out there to get a bye. Who knows? But the way they're playing is a team capable of doing big things in the playoffs.
Mets sweep the Phillies to come to 4 games in the division. The Dodgers sweep the Reds to extend the Mets' wildcard lead to 4.5 games, which is a very welcome sight. The Reds were knocking on the door. They never fully took the spot, but they were very, very close to the Mets in the wildcard standings. And then one series changed everything, and that can happen inversely. So you got to keep playing good baseball. Mets offense with runners in scoring position since August 1st, the best average in baseball, 358. The second best OPS, 1020. And the second best weighted runs created plus at 180. They are firing on all cylinders. They are getting pitching performances. And in addition to that, they also might be getting reinforcements. We all know that this Friday, Jonah Tong is going to make his major league debut against the Miami Marlins, which, by the way, that's going to be a good situation for him. A lot of right-handed hitters. They traded
not an accident that they set him up for success.
I agree.
Is not an
Nolan
accident.
McLean wasn't exactly set up for success in his debut. I think Jonah Tong fully is. Against the lineup that he's going to be facing. But speaking of reinforcements, so Jose Siri and Jesse Winker, they've begun rehab assignments at St. Lucie. They played their first game yesterday. Francisco Alvarez got into a rehab game, hit a double, got hit on the hand. It's not the hand where the thumb injury took place, but the Mets are still taking a look at his, I think, left
Pretty
pinky.
scary.
Yeah, he just can't avoid it. He's a magnet for these injuries, apparently.
Yeah.
Tyler McGill.
I want to see him in the old Jeff Bagwell batting glove that had like the pad on it.
The fat on it.
I want the Barry Bonds elbow guard. I want a shin guard.
I want him to just like wear a brick on his hand, so if a baseball hits there, just bounces off.
Just get like a metal plate on the back. I don't know what it is.
Wrap him in bubble wrap. I don't know, man.
I feel bad for him. Like, he was finally back to looking the part at the dish.
I still think he'll be back. I do.
He's still their best option when he's going right. Torrens is excellent, and he's capable of a 5 RBI game, but you don't expect him to do anything offensively. You expect him to move runners when he can, maybe get a sac fly here or there, but he's great defensively. But Alvarez is their best chance of being at their best.
Hopefully we learn more about that pinky today. The tenor of the update seemed positive, but that could mean nothing. We don't really know for certain yet. So Alvarez potentially on the way back, and then Tyler McGill is going to get one more rehab outing, which would give the Mets, I think, 7 starting pitching options if they're adding Jonah Tong to the fold to make it a 6-man, and then you add Tyler McGill on top of that. Maybe you guys piggyback. I don't know. The Mets do really well when their starting pitchers face the order twice and not 3 times. Maybe that's a formula. Either way, you're probably going to see David Peterson and Nolan McLean pitch every 5th day at minimum, just because they've been so consistent and so good. Speaking of those guys pitching, upcoming 4-game series with the Miami Marlins. The Mets need to continue playing good baseball. They're going to face the third-place team in their division. Tonight, it'll be Clay Holmes versus Adam Mazer, who was a piece in the Tanner Scott trade. But all eyes are set on the Friday night matchup, 7:10 p.m. Eastern. Jonah Tong, number 1 prospect in the Mets system, makes his debut for the team at 21 years old after speed running AA and AAA. And he'll face Yuri Perez, who is one of the youngest starting pitchers in baseball, might be facing someone younger than him for maybe the first time in his career. And he's been nasty for the Miami Marlins. That'll be the Friday night matchup. I can't get to the ballpark that day. I'm very sad about it. I know I'm going to miss it, which stinks.
That's tough. Yuri Perez has a higher ceiling capability than Nolan McLean. He's a freak, but we'll see. These are all these things that you mentioned about Tyler McGill, about what are they going to do? These are planned out.
Yeah.
They have the fact that Tong is making his debut when he is, the fact that the calendar's flipping to September and you're going to be able to expand the rosters. They're going to have 28-man rosters now. They're going to have a game plan on how they deploy certain guys.
Mm-hmm.
We will see some starter type in the bullpen. It's going to deal with how they feel about guys' innings limits, not limits, but where they are in their innings in their career for these young guys, where Tyler McGill and how he looks when he does pitch, if he gets a chance to slot back in or if he's a piggyback Jonah Tong type guy. Tong is a different. Do you want to talk about Jonah Tong a little bit?
Yeah, I mean,
real quick.
He made 2 starts at AAA this year, and the Mets. I do what you said at the very top of the episode was, I think, extremely accurate, and it's that the 3 starts from Nolan McLean drastically changed the mentality of promoting these prospects, I think, in the Mets organization, because I think they felt how much that invigorated the roster, and it already feels like the turning point late in the season. So why not double down? Like, why not take the guy that has even more hype and has been dominated even more than Nolan McLean and give him a shot as well? And I just think that Citi Field is going to be on fire on Friday night. Like, the Mets have a huge bonus in they don't have to worry about Kyle Stowers in this series because he's currently on the injured list. This Miami Marlins lineup is not at its best form right now. I think it's just the perfect opportunity. You have this sweep against the Phillies. You have all this momentum. You put Jonah Tong in that spot. I think it's such a good move and such a conscious move by the Mets organization to recognize the opportunity they have here with someone who's been such a fast riser, has been continually developing this year as well, to give him an opportunity to succeed in the middle of what is becoming a pennant chase.
I think this was the plan for a while, is to hopefully get these guys in a chance to stay on the roster. September, I believe, was the aim. Ideally, they wouldn't even have debuted yet. I think if you get the guys, if you get out of the team that started spring training, you would expect them not to have room for them just yet, and then to make it for next year, or maybe only September. But here, I'll compare. Joe, is my internet all right? It feels like I'm jumping.
You're bouncing in and out. It'll be fine.
All right. Here's the difference between Jonah Tong and Nolan McLean right now. For me, from what I've seen from the video, once I knew that he was going to be the guy, Nolan McLean's a more polished prospect as far as location. He's able to put his pitches kind of where he wants on a little more consistent basis. I think command is the biggest drawback for Jonah Tong. He throws strikes for the most part, but it's kind of cocky, as in, if you can hit it, good luck to you. I'm going to try to throw. I'm going to try to strike everybody out. He's pretty much done that. He's got 102 innings in AA this year. He had 162 strikeouts. That's 14.3. And then he went to AAA, and he had 11 2/3 innings, and he's got 17 strikeouts, which is 13. Like, he's striking everybody out, but he's not walking a ton. I mean, averaging about 4-ish an outing, which is not horrible, but he's not giving up hits, so his whip is under 1 in the minor leagues. it's not as dialed in though. And that might be work at his benefit because he can be effectively wild and you know he's going to come at you. You can't zone him up kind of thing. But I'm excited for Jonah Tong as much so as I was for Nolan McLean. Nolan McLean blew my mind on how where he was in his
Yeah.
development. Um, Jonah Tong might do the same thing for me, but I expect him to be more what you would expect out of a young kid coming up. He's just less developed than Nolan McLean is as polished. He's very good, and I'm super excited. He spins the ball really well
Yeah.
too. Um, he's set up for success as far as where he's coming in, when he's coming in, who's behind him. It's a wonderful setup, and I expect him to be in the big leagues and pitch all through September. So I'm excited to see who they have, what they have out of a 22-year-old kid. So
Yeah, and I mean, so playoff eligible now because he came up before September began, which is huge, and I think a
not an
conscious move,
accident.
not an accident, like you said before. Also, what you said before about Nolan McLean, I think part of this is like Jonah Tong. Yes, he might be erratic at the major league level, but also like guys they haven't seen him. Like there's no tape, and I think with Nolan McLean having 3 starts, there was tape on him now. He's used all 6 of his pitches. With Tong, he's got this 5-pitch arsenal. He throws 96, but it's like you said, it's the movement on all these pitches, the vertical break, and like how much he's able to manipulate his arsenal. I know he hasn't had a ton of development. I mean, last year was his first full professional season at 113 innings. He already matched that total this year. He's in uncharted territory already while he's making his debut. But I just think that the Mets this is going to be the crown jewel of the steps forward by this Mets development system. This is a 7th-round pick. You know, this is also a Billy Epler draft pick as well, in addition to Nolan McLean, that the Mets have taken and reformed and developed in a way.
Tip your cap.
You got to tip your cap, man. Like,
Got to, man.
It's exciting. It's just exciting what the Mets are doing. They recently got rated the #1 farm system in baseball by Kylie McDaniel, who does yearly, or I think multiple yearly rankings. Yes, like that's the tide has shifted completely on the perception of the Mets minor league system in Major League Baseball, and you're going to continue to see exciting debut after exciting debut because these guys they keep coming.
That's been the plan since Steve Cohen bought the team.
Yep.
That is how you build contenders year in and year out, is by developing players, drafting players, and making them contribute, and then supplementing that with free agents. This is hopefully the tip of the iceberg for the next 20-year run of a franchise capable of putting competitive teams out there year in, year out.
David Peterson's going to get the ball on Saturday against Edward Cabrera, and then Kodai Senga goes Sunday, and we're going to say a rare thing here. Go Braves. Braves host the Phillies this weekend. We need to continue making up some ground there. So hopefully the Braves can play their role in this trifecta of NL East teams owning each other.
How'd that feel saying go Braves?
It felt a little nasty, but chop on, guys. Chop on. We need some wins there. And go Cardinals against the Reds as the Mets continue to try and build up leads and maybe move up in these NL playoff standings. Again, 4.5 game lead in the wild card, 4 games back in the division. Month of baseball left to play, 4 more games against the Phillies left to play as well. This was a huge turning point in this Mets season to sweep like this, continue to their dominance against a really, really good, a team that a lot of people consider to be the best in baseball, most complete.
Yeah, I think so. This is everything you dream of as a fan, by the way. This is September, meaningful games in September. The fact that Nolan McLean and Jonah Tong and some of these other guys get to taste competitive baseball in September, it doesn't happen to every big leaguer. Like, there's guys that go their entire career never playing in the playoffs. It's not an easy thing to do, but when it's in there, this is a build up to a run in September. Like, I'm so excited. This is my last thing.
Yeah.
Jesse Winker could be like a secret weapon if he's back. They need it. They're not getting it from Cedric Mullins, even though he's looked better. If they can get like a Marte, Jesse Winker 1-2 punch out of the DH.
I mean, this is just a
pinch
roster
hit.
full of guys that only like playing in big games. Like Mark Vientos saw the calendar turn to late August. It's like, oh shit, I gotta go. Let's start going. You know, maybe that's just it.
And dude, Jose Siri, for everything that he hasn't been, like, you know, coming back off that broken leg, I hope it hasn't zapped his speed, because he's one of the fastest guys in Major League Baseball. I'll talk about pinch running at second base yesterday for Starling Marte. You know,
The
that's an
expanded
easy-
rosters might do wonders for the Mets when they have everyone healthy. Like there's a lot of weapons.
We'll see, man. I'm so pumped up for what I'm seeing. Who knows how it's going to turn out? We don't know anything about how these young guys are going to develop and look, and we don't know who's going to hit and who's not going to hit. But I can tell you right now that I am super excited to watch baseball from here on out. It's going to be fun. And
We're
you don't
excited
know.
to watch the Mets again.
This
We're
is
excited.
it.
This is it, baby. The season feels like it's starting. Like I'm checking the standings every day. I'm watching random 10 p.m. West Coast games just to see the Reds lose. Like this is real ball, folks. So tap in, lock in. We're going to do a lot of shows, I think, in September and October. So I'm gonna be wired, man. I'm fully back in. I feel like the last show I was kind of like easing out a little bit just so I don't get hurt too bad. I'm fully back in now. I'm ready to get hurt again. I'm ready to watch Jonathan pitch. I'm ready to beat the Marlins. I'm ready. Let's go.
It's fun stuff, man.
Hell yeah.
This is what you hope for. Not always like this. Hopefully, this is what it's going to be like for the foreseeable future. But this is fun baseball and a glimmer of hope for a very competitive team.
Well, we've done plenty of yapping on this hour and 13-minute episode. Thank you so much for listening or watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on the video. If you're listening on a podcast app, Apple, Google, Spotify, leave us a rating. Leave us a review. It all helps out a ton as the Mets continue to trudge on and climb back into this division race, hopefully. We will see you next week with another episode. Hopefully some fun stuff to talk about from this Marlins series. And let's go Mets, baby.
Let's go Mets.
LFGM.
Shay Station, Jerry and Charlie. Shay Station, Jerry and Charlie. Thank you all for coming. Hope you enjoyed the show. We will see you next time, where we'll be back.
Station.